Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Wednesday, the 27th day of August 2025, Wednesday of the 21st week of the year, the 21st week in Ordinary Time, and it is also the day in which we honor the memory of St. Monica, the mother of St. Augustine, whose prayers eventually led Augustine to decide to enter the Christian movement and then to embrace the life that he was called to live then as becoming a great scholar within the Christian movement. She sometimes is known for her prayers that brought Augustine to this, but it was also probably because of her nagging that made Augustine finally decide that he needed to do this. She was a woman who persevered. She was a very powerful, strong woman, in her own right. She may have given Augustine a little bit too much guilt in not embracing Christianity soon enough, because that's kind of what led into some of his ideas about sin and things like that in his own situation in life and stuff like that. So we can honor Monica for what she did. We could probably also suggest to her that maybe she just did a little bit too hard. You can always be too hard on your children, and that might not always give you the full event or the full results that you would hope that they would give. So within that, again, honoring all people who are mothers to us in whatever way, shape, or form, who again nurture us and tries to help us become the people that God has created us to be. Once again, the grounds of the Canossian Sisters, where I had been. I'm making my way back to Raleigh today, but these last couple of days to do the workshops and do the programming with our postulants. There's St. Magdalene of Canossa. She's the foundress of the order, and again, the saint that the sisters honor here. If you can hear it just in the distance, there's a chicken farm that's next door to the sisters, and the roosters begin at like 4 a.m. and don't stop for a while, crowing and everything else like that. So they're going on and on and on like this. So it's been a very interesting time in Albuquerque, and a very good rain that happened last night. The Rio Grande here is dry. It is a dry bed because, again, of things that are happening within this world that are not allowing the seasons to move and the weather to move as it should. A beneficial rain that happened last night too here. So again, to continue to pray for more rain here in New Mexico, so the Rio Grande begins to flow again. The readings for today, Thessalonians continues with Paul once again telling everybody, how great he is, and again, in giving people in Thessalonica the faith and how they have embraced it, and how he has been so happy to be an example for them, and everybody to imitate his example and everything else like that. So again, it goes on and on and on. Paul's ego is just wonderful in these letters, but it does not stop him in many ways from allowing God to work through him. And even with the ego, God is still able to work through Paul. And so that is one of the blessings, again, that Paul has in his life, is that his ego does not get in the way, even though he tries of what God is trying to do with him. And the same thing can be true of those among us, even ourselves, whose ego sometimes gets in the way of God being able to work. And we can see that God is still able to work even within that. And being able to discern that is one of our challenges as believers within this world. In Matthew's Gospel, again, we come to the end of the great harangue, the great scolding of the scribes and the Pharisees. This is where they are likened to whitened tombs that look so good on the outside, but on the inside are filled with decay and filth and everything else like that, and that basically they do not present themselves in any way. They present themselves as being scholars and do everything right and dress appropriately and everything else like that. But in their heart, is nothing but filth and nothing but a refusal, to understand truly what is the nature of our relationship with God and why it is so important to base that relationship upon love and not upon a myriad of deeds and regulations and rules and practices and whatever it is that Pharisaical Jerusalem had amounted to. Now, again, it's the idea that they probably were not bad people in themselves, but they couldn't allow themselves to be led by the Spirit. And that's what kind of gets in the way. Something new was happening in their midst, and they refused to see it because it was so different than what they had expected and how they had ordered their little tiny worlds to be. That doesn't work out ever for anybody in the best way. That does not help us to grow in our own humanity, let alone our own holiness. The Holy Spirit must lead us and guide us into things that are unknown, and things that we have not discovered, and things that await us. And if we think that basically we have established something that will last for all time, we have not. It is God who has done that, and God establishes a spirit to lead us more and more and deeper into a future of hope and wonder and joy. If we are not attentive to the Spirit, and if we want to kind of just live by our laws and our rules that we have created for ourselves, then we will amount to nothing, and our faith will reveal itself as purposeless and meaningless. We must let that Spirit lead us. We must let our lives be enriched and challenged by the Spirit working within us. Even if we are fearful, even if we are uncertain, to be led by the Spirit can only lead to things that give life, that give hope, that give wonder, that give grace. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God from New Mexico. May the Lord give you his peace.